it was getting to the point whereby Manchester United analysts were getting mocked for always mentioning the Glazers when you lost a football match. It was getting to the point where you said, well, Glazers don't play football. But when you think for 10 years, every Manchester United manager has operated without a CEO that's actually been in a football club before, without a sporting director, without a known head of recruitment. It's madness. I mean, forget negligence, it's just madness. The idea that obviously Jim Ratcliffe's come in and just appointed a CEO that's been at a football club before and a football director, we're all thinking, well, it's staggering. It hasn't happened. It's unbelievable. It would never happen at any other club. So I think what we're seeing now is just normality. It's not sort of anything special at the moment. Just putting good people into one of the best clubs in the world is a sensible thing to do. And that's why it feels like there's a new energy about the place. And actually, the turn in Manchester United's fortunes has coincided at the point where Jim Ratcliffe came in.
Do you think that is coincidence?
Well, I think it might be a little bit of a coincidence, but you remember that sort of second 45 minutes against Aston Villa on Boxing Day, which damaged Villa. You know, Unai Emery will really be damaged by the two Manchester United games because they played really well in both games and they hammered United in the first half. But United were breathtaking in that second half, and that was Jim Ratcliffe's first game, as it were, because he'd been announced on Christmas Eve. So it has been an about turn, because I think what's happened then is, I think what Jim Ratcliffe has done, he's come in and said to all of them, look, I'm looking at every single one of you lot. You're all playing for your future.
Gary, do you feel that there's almost been like a negligence of the brand Manchester United? So in terms of, because of how well Manchester United is going to sell worldwide, you know, they're going to sell shirts, they're going to do this, that the Glazers were just happy for it to tick along as it was?
Do you know, the more I think about it, I think what the Glazers have done is they've just literally shown blind loyalty to people who've been really good to them over a long period of time at the club. Because, you know, Ed Woodward was at the club for 10, 15 years, or 10, 12 years before, obviously, he became CEO. He was there, obviously, working on the commercial side. And he's been very, you know, they've been very loyal to him, and they believed everything that he said. And I'm sure Ed believed what he was doing as well. And honestly, I said it probably 10 years ago, it's a little bit like they were playing Football Manager. We can just literally go and have a look at sort of some of the best players in the world, Di Maria, Falcao, Ibrahimovic, and they've literally played Football Manager with the club for 10 years without having serious people operating the club, which obviously other clubs have. It's unbelievable.
Do you think, Tom, that players' moods, the training ground mood, can get affected by the machinations and the politics of a football club?
Yeah, of course it can. Like, the fans can sit there and say, "Oh, it's 11v11 at the end of the day," but what goes on in a week can have a massive effect come the weekend. So, yeah, people can say it can't, but for sure it can.
I must be old school, because I'm not sure how much what's happened with Ineos coming in has made a difference to how Højlund's playing, or the difference that he's made by settling
mood, isn't it?
By settling the front three. Is
there not a feel-good factor around the football
There is, but the
club?
feel-good factor is created by the players on the pitch right now, and that's what Højlund's done. He's done that on his own, and he's scoring goals, and he's gone with Garnacho.
He said, didn't he, that unit is helping him.
But that's not because Jim Ratcliffe's playing left wing. That's because he's got the players and the way that they're playing right now. I'm talking about going forward. Certainly, I don't disagree that can help to get the right.
He may have got a game, you know, a few months ago, Jim Ratcliffe on left wing.
I think he could have played on that wing, yeah.
To be honest with you, the other thing, Jamie's right in some ways, they have got the players back. I mean, Casemiro's out for a long time. They had players out in sort of key positions. So there's an element of that, but I do believe the mood has changed.
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit of both.
The mood is, you know, for instance, what the fans wanted, what everybody connected with United wanted, was just some interference with the just complete and utter tosh that we've seen for 10 years. And actually, what's happened is that the boardroom has been disrupted, which means that there's a complete new energy with decisions being made.
There's a new chief executive, Gary Inomar Barada. There is potentially a sporting director. But let me ask you about him.
How long have I been asking for just
for an awful long time.
A CEO that loves football, a sporting director, a sporting department? I can shut up now about it, because they've got a department that's come in.
Well, let me ask you this about Dan Ashworth then, because he's still Newcastle's sporting director. There could be an element of compensation needed to prize him out. I've seen some reports today suggesting that Newcastle should charge 50, 60 million pounds to get him out. What would you pay? What is it worth to get a good sporting director out?
I don't know. I don't know if Dan's got something in his contract. I don't know how it works with sporting directors, to be honest with you, how you release them. I would expect it's more of a normal employee type situation when you've got a sporting director. I can't think. I mean, look, he's not going to be able to walk out for free. He's not going to be able to walk out and work at United tomorrow. He'll have some sort of restrictions against him.
Would you pay more to make sure he could start straight away rather than go on gardening leave for 12 months?
If that's the sporting director that they want and they want him to start straight away, he will have restrictions, Dan Ashworth, to not be able to work at another club in the same space for 12 months. I'm sure of that. Now, Manchester United might say, we can't wait that long, so we'll pay for it. I would say it's an absolute it's imperative that Manchester United for the next transfer window get someone in place, because if you pay 10 million to get Dan Ashworth out, if you get another transfer window wrong, you might blow another 100 million. So it's important they get the right people in place. Dan Ashworth has done incredibly well at West Brom. He did a fantastic job with England, putting the foundation in place, not just for the first team that have been successful, but the youth teams, and obviously the other side of all the FA. Then he's done. I was amazed he went to Brighton. I thought, Dan, is that not a little bit of a sort of, not backward step, but sideways step? But what he did there was fantastic. He's been really sensible and measured at Newcastle. What Manchester United need to do is stop the rot. When Manchester United were phoned, or Manchester United phoned any club in Europe, they were going, here we go, it's bingo time, we're going to get paid a load of money. Dan Ashworth won't allow that to happen. He's quite sort of, if you like, resilient around that type of stuff and measured.
One more on this. I thought it was interesting hearing from Erik ten Hag that he was very much part of these conversations. It feels like he's been saying this all the way through this, that he knows everything that's happening. He's part of the conversation. Are you encouraged that he is part of that conversation?
He absolutely should be part of the conversation. Honesty is absolutely imperative in any business. And the thing was, if you remember, Erik ten Hag, like Mourinho, like Van Gaal, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, became head of recruitment last summer. He became head of recruitment for the club.
Do you think he still wants to be?
I wouldn't think he would. I think he just want people in there that he trusted. If a manager believes in the system around him, of the players that are coming in, Pep Guardiola's got Big Earstein at Manchester City, and he will trust him with his life to bring in players that align with what they need. What Ten Hag will look at and think is the people that were at United who've signed badly for 10 years are still there, and I need some sort of competent people. I think if Dan Ashworth comes in, he'll step aside and let him get on with it.